if I may just go a little back and share about our philosophy as a bank and what we stand for. It is really based on the purpose that we have identified for ourselves, which is to drive commerce and prosperity within our communities and using our diversity. As you all know, we are an international bank. And sometimes it's very hard to conceptualize what then would an international bank do beyond just creating a financial institution. So that's what we are going to be talking about. As you'll note, we've been here, and most of you are aware, for over 110 years. That's a rich heritage. So today, we'll be looking back to see, and specifically using 2021 as a base, about what have we been doing. And that is based on our 4 strategic pillars. And our 4 strategic pillars are on mass banking. We are good with affluent banking, and also using our network to push our purpose, that is to create the commerce and wealth and prosperity. But lastly is on sustainability. Sustainability was recently elevated to be one of the strategic pillars, underpinning why we find it important and why we have given it as a priority and why we are focusing a lot of our time and resources around it. And also, if you look at the last bit there, we are talking about Here for Good. And Here for Good is the brand promise that we have told ourselves that this is what we want to be known for, a bank that does good, a bank that really uses money or finances to do good in the society. And recently, we underpinned that with 3 pillars and 3 stands by really affirming what do we really stand for. One is recognition of climate change. So we stand to support those around us, both business and communities, to be careful about the planet, to really reduce carbon emission. And so you'll see a lot of our activities hinging around our contribution towards climate change. Again, lifting participation, looking at the marginalized and people who are not participating fully into the economy of the country, the women, people living with disability, SMEs. What do we do about that? What is our responsibility as a bank? And lastly, is to look at the impact of globalization and try to create equal chances for everyone and fairer outcomes in trade and in commerce. So that's the setting under which we have set our sustainability. And we look at 3 pillars. As you'll note, one of them is sustainable finance, the next one is responsible company, and the last one is on inclusive societies. And this is how we play, because our big ambition here is to be the most sustainable and responsible bank within the country, within the globe. And you can see that is underpinned in our 3 areas of business. In our 3 areas, one is business, how we do our operations, and also how we deal with the communities. So everything we talk about around sustainability really looks at those 3 pillars. It is the 3-legged stool that we stand upon or sit upon when we talk about sustainability. So how then do we break that down? And so the word sustainability has been used a lot and in different ways, but we have identified 11 aspirations which help us measure what we are doing. Our targets are based on what you see on the screen, and you can see things like infrastructure, things like how we are a responsible company in terms of conduct, financial crime, how we do our people, things like community engagement. All those 11 are the targets that when you look at the booklet that we are going to be launching, it is measuring that circle as you see it. But then, most important, these are relatable to SDGs. As you know, Sustainable Development Goals were launched in 2015, saying that you're going to leave no one behind. And they identified 17 of them. We have chosen 10, and that's where all our efforts are focused on, be it gender equality, be it infrastructure, be it climate change. So those 10 are where all our work that has gone into is looking at. So today what you'll be hearing more and seeing more of is how those 2 circles relate. When you talk about infrastructure and also when you talk about things like a decent place to work, decent employment, that is where all this is hitched at. And then somebody might ask, how does that then relate to Kenya? What are we solving for in Kenya? What opportunities do we see in Kenya as a country that then qualifies us to say that we are going to be here for good, that we're going to put our best foot forward and make a difference? Allow me just to share a couple on the Kenyan situation to date and what is available there. So if you look at things like manufacturing is contributing 10% of the of our GDP, hence a place which will also require funding. And you'll hear much later what have we done in this space. Areas like ICT, what is it contributing to the GDP? And if I may go through a couple of these, it is also to showcase things like climate change. Where are we coming in? Agriculture and tourism are the pillar of what we do in Kenya. Then there's climate change. We may not be emitting as much, yet we are the ones who are likely to be impacted most. If you look at transport and the opportunity it has for job creation, and when you look at what we are talking about, we are looking at areas that then generate economic stimulants and also increase employment, because that's how you lift people from poverty. We will also look at areas like how do we support our youth. In Kenya today, 75% of our population is below, between 15 and 25 years of age. Unfortunately, 40% or 38.9, which translates to about 5 million, remain unemployed. So what is the role of a bank like ours in terms of helping the youth either to become entrepreneurs, to become more employable, to realize their full potential? Things like gender parity. Where do we come in? How are we supporting women, both in terms of supply, including them as suppliers, also empowering them, and also in our leadership? Then we have things like financial crime. We have things like SMEs. SMEs currently contribute about 90%, about 3% of the GDP. Yet about 90% of our businesses are around SMEs. So how do we support this to thrive? So this, what you see on the screen, just gives a picture of the things that we have really focused on and where we have taken our measurement, and most importantly, where we are putting our resources and where we are putting our focus. So mine is to say that we are all committed here, and you can see by the presence of our guests today that we are truly committed to be here for good. So the next session is for us to see how exactly are we committed to being here for good. What did we do in 2021 that gives us this acclaim that we are here for good? So now it's my pleasure to invite